Hi there, welcome to my channel Renew Your Skill. Today I'm going to be covering on very important topic VPN, firewall, CIA, cryptography, remote access, risk, threat, asset and vulnerability in 20 minutes. So you must be wondering how we're going to learn all of this in 20 minutes. We're not getting into detail, but I'm going to ensure that you get the gist of what each of these technology are within the next 20 minutes. So for that, I want you to look at this scenario. We're going to take this scenario and then break this down into how we can use these technologies and how all those things that are in the agenda are going to get covered based on this scenario. Company with 5 remote offices or branch offices, whatever you call it, with one HQ, and a total of about 5,000 users and endpoints, wants to access company resources applications that are hosted in data center, which is located 10 miles away from the head office. Remote offices and HQ should also access internet in the most secure way and in the most economical way. So note that down, right? WAN connectivity chosen should be secure, economical, available and scalable. Okay, so all this requirement, this is the customer requirement, right? All users should be able to access the resources, applications securely from anywhere, in the office or out of the office. That means even sitting at home or in Starbucks or wherever. Data center have assets which need to be protected, and any loss or damage to these assets severely affect the business. Security controls should be put in place to protect these assets and should be within the budget. Most important, right? I mean, it's not an endless budget. So your security control should be within the budget. Let's see this. Okay. So let's cover the first thing. Question 1. Okay. In order to answer that, to come up with a solution for that scenario, this is the question 1. WAN connectivity, internet versus the dedicated. What are the WAN connectivity options that are available for branch and HQ connectivity? So in simple, can we choose internet as connectivity option for the WAN? Why not dedicated, right? So I've just given two examples. Would you today choose dedicated LAN telephone lines or something that's more accessible and available and cheap, like mobile, right? Dedicated circuits are good, but are very expensive. So just an analogy, Uber versus owning your car, right? So what works out cheaper? Okay, just to give you that example. So definitely, so let's look at it. It should be available everywhere. So it should be the remotest corner, internet should be available. So let's choose internet as a connectivity. So it's a very basic. So let's take internet at a face level. We use internet, right? Then I said we're going to be covering a bit on firewall, right? I'm not getting into details of what firewall is, but the whole, to handle that scenario, we're trying to just come up with a quick solution. What are the WAN edge device options? Can I use a router? Yeah, definitely. But is firewall probably a better option to be used? If yes, what does a firewall do at a very basic level? Firewall are ideal WAN edge devices for internet connectivity, also for VPN connectivity. A very most commonly used edge device for internet and VPN in the world today. Because they are more intelligent than the regular WAN routers. That's simple, right? And some of the firewalls work all the way up to the application layer, and at least most firewalls are till the 4 layers, that is the transport, and some of them all the way up to the application, giving you better visibility and control over the traffic, right? So you have better visibility. So definitely firewall becomes a winner in terms of the wedge device. So that's clear. Also, they are stateful in nature, right? So what does it mean? In a simple example, so you're in a classroom, you're going to ask me that I need to go to the toilets, for example. When you return back to the classroom, you don't need to ask for my permission to get in. So that's what stateful does. You don't need to have permissions in both ways. Next, let's look at what is CIA. Confidentiality, integrity and availability. Wow, great. Now I can just use my firewall to connect my offices and I'm all set. Wait, is the internet safe? Okay, so what do you mean by, what are you worried about? are you worried about data going out to the internet where is in plain text? Okay. You're worried about then what you're worried about is actually confidentiality of data. If you look at this, the security terminology, which we call it as a CIA trade, right? So you find this in most of the security documents. So I just want to put this in practice and say, why are you worried? Okay, you're worried because confidentiality, somebody can read the data, somebody can, steal the data, whatever. Then, next, what are you worried about? How do you integrate, what is integrity and how do we link this practically? Data on the internet wire can be tapped and tampered. Okay, you're worried about that, makes sense, right? Imagine your $1,000 is tampered and looks like $10. Oh, scary. Okay, so that means you need to have a way to identify if somebody has tampered it and probably ignore that particular tampered data, right? Okay, that's integrity. Are you worried about your resource data may not be available when you need it? Very important point. What's the point in having 5 cars when probably the backup is not available when you need it? Availability is very, very important. So that's at the simplest level what is CIA, right? So I'm still there, okay, as promised, 20 minutes. Then, okay, you said we're going to use internet. Is that secure? No, it's not. So how are we going to get this CIA, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, all of that? What are we going to use? We're going to use VPN. So what is VPN in the simplest form? If you see this on the right-hand side, you've got 2 offices connected over the internet in a tunnel. Can we use VPN over the internet pipe to handle all the concerns addressed in question 3, right? So going back, this is question 3. Can we address all of this? Then, what if I tell you it's like your private network, like your LAN or a WAN? VPN is that. Oh, sounds good, right? Would you still be worried about the above? We can use encryption to secure the data over the internet. Okay, what's encryption then? That's cryptography. So cryptography is a long topic, but I want to just keep it simple, right? So for example, here I've just mentioned you want to send, you are just going to between 2 parties, A and B. You have a code. You're going to say A is nothing but B is equal to C is equal to D is equal to E. You have a code. If you have to send a word BAD, you're going to send that as CBE, and the other party will read that as BAD. So it's simple. So that's the, basically encryption, right? So in that you have symmetric encryption, you have asymmetric encryption. Probably in more of my sessions, I'm going to be cover the differences between symmetric and asymmetric, where each of them are implemented. Okay, so let's take one thing at a time. Integrity. Data is encrypted, but how to ensure they're intact, not damaged? VPN provides integrity through hashing mechanism. Okay, we use SHA or MD5 sort of a hashing in the VPN. Okay, so that's about the VPN cryptography. Remote access. Okay, one of the customer requirement was also, if you remember the scenario, users should be able to access the resources that are in the data centers, irrespective of whether in the office or out of the office. So we're going to use remote access. So how easy is it? All that you need is an internet connection and a small agent that's running on your laptops, and you're all there connected to the VPN, and you're as secure as you are in the office. Okay, so we're meeting that requirement. Next, at last, I want to cover, when we do all of this, the more you may find this very intimidating in terms of what is risk, threat, asset. I'm actually going to simplify it in the next 2 minutes. What is an asset? Okay, asset is something that has a value. It could be your car, it could be a house, it could be a laptop, human being, it could be a dog inside, right? Any living being. So it depends on what, whichever has a value, right? So human beings, for example, it's on top of the order, right? In terms of any living being for that matter. Now, so you have to, but when you're defining it, you cannot be vague about what controls are you going to put. So asset should have a value. Okay, then if you say it's a value, let's assume it's a car. It's going to cost about $5,000. Okay, then you want to actually give a protection and you want to have some sort of an insurance to this. Okay, so let's take that example. What are the chances or the probability of that being damaged in a given year? Okay, so then what are the types of threats? What could be one of it? Let's say car accident while driving. What could be the damage? Let's assume it's 50% damage in severe cases. You're not a good driver. Probability of occurrence once in a year. God save you, right? Cost of damage per year is about $2,500. 50% damage, right? It's an extreme condition that I'm taking. Theft, 100% damage. Probability of occurrence, 10%, like once in every 10 years. Cost of damage per year, 500. Cost of control, let's assume your insurance cost for the car is $3,500 per year. Hypothetical number, just to get the understanding of when you say control and an approved control, what does it exactly mean? Does it justify to put in such an expensive control measure? Would rather take a risk of not having the insurance at all. If yes, what is the risk you're taking? $3,000 per year. If you actually go in for a control, you're putting in $3,500. And probability of occurrence at $3,000 that you're saving, you are ready to take that risk. Okay, so that's about what risk is at any given time. Even if you do not want to take risk and you put in control, there will always be some amount of risk that will be left, and that risk you see, and we call them as residual risk. Okay, I hope this has helped all of you. Watch for my next series on the security, in the security domain. I'm going to be covering a lot of topics as we go. Thank you.